right now on the National Weather Desk. Winter finally makes its mark. Heavy snow blankets the Northeast, but floods could soon follow. Portions of the West also get snow ahead of more this week, while the Plains prepares for blizzard conditions. We'll also tell you how we calculate the weight of snow. A tornado touches down in Florida, and we have the video. And meet a weather observer who spends his time on a mountain with the worst weather in the world.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Well, good morning and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm meteorologist Eileen Whalen. Well, this is shaping up to be a very busy weather week. In the next couple of days, different parts of the country will experience blizzard conditions, flooding, and severe weather that could include tornadoes. But let's start with the winter storm that brought the first significant snowfall of the year to the Northeast. Snow fell from Maine to the mid-Atlantic, including across New York in cities like Rochester and Albany. More than a foot fell in portions of Massachusetts, including 18 inches in the city of Haverhill, north of Boston, and 15 including in Worcester in the central part of the state. And at the height of the storm, 2 kayakers had to be rescued from an island off of Cape Cod. They were thrown from their boats into the freezing water. Maine, Rhode Island, and Pennsylvania were also hit hard. Owen Kingsley continues our coverage in Portland.
A lot of roads haven't been plowed, or they've only been plowed once.
Spinning out or stuck in the snow, Sunday's storm made for dangerous driving.
And a lot of people seem to be sliding off the road, or they're not able to see structures and things on the road underneath the snow, and they're hitting things. We had somebody hit a median, things like that.
Crashes were reported in every corner of the state this weekend. Along I-95 in Cumberland, 2 tractor trailers crashed and completely blocked the highway. Fire officials in the area say this crash caused a series of other crashes. Utility poles were taken down by cars, too. Some in Vassalboro lost power, and Bog Road was shut down when a downed pole left wires along the roadway. And in Waterboro, a truck crashed into a pole and took out power to about 200 CMP customers.
Plow companies are hitting parking lots across the Ocean State, getting the pavement clean for the Monday morning workday as temperatures drop fast tonight.
As you can see, the pavement is starting to freeze immediately, so we have crews following our plow teams, salting tonight, and then we're planning on having a salting team come out tomorrow morning and treat before the morning traffic and rush.
And drivers we spoke with are taking note of the changing conditions.
I'm actually a little bit nervous. The road's been slippery and kind of like wet and moist.
And if you're from New England, you expect it. So, I mean, pretty much just worried about the hills.
We drove through several towns tonight. While most state roads were plowed, many side streets were slick.
Today, many residents in Bear Creek Township in Luzerne County were amazed at the beauty of the snow-covered landscape after the winter storm Snowfall concluded early Sunday afternoon. During the winter storm Snowfall, independent snowplow operators and PennDOT employees were hard at work to clear the snow from covered roadways. Chris Hughes, the owner of Hughes Groundworks, was just one of the many snowplow operators hard at work in the aftermath of the storm. Hughes says he and his employee, John Morrow, have been working on plowing and shoveling snow since Saturday night during the heavier hours of the snowfall.
It's been a little rough through the night. We did have, quite a bit of snow come down. It's impressive, compared to what we had last year. Last year, there wasn't much snow to speak of at all. So, and leading up to this storm right now, this is probably the biggest storm that we've had in well over a year now.
James Seraphin, a Bear Creek Township resident, says this snowfall was a bit difficult to manage after shoveling snow out of driveways, but this amount of snow is to be expected during a proper Pennsylvania winter.
I mean, it's wet, it's heavy, it's a pain to clean up. Done without it, but it's here, it's winter time, so it was nice to see it.
Unfortunately, much of that snow probably won't stick around for very long. A new system is bringing rain and the threat of flooding. By tomorrow, heavy rain will bring several inches to the mid-Atlantic and New England. So combine that water with melting snow and you have a recipe for possible floods. The wind is also going to be very strong, which could lead to power outages. Now, before that storm gets to the East Coast, it's going to bring blizzard conditions to the Central Plains and Midwest. More than a foot of snow could pile up from Nebraska to Wisconsin, with lower amounts stretching from the Dakotas to Ohio. While in the south, a storm system brings the risk of severe weather, including the possibility of tornadoes. The greatest risk today is along the Gulf Coast from Louisiana to the Florida Panhandle. The Storm Prediction Center ranks it at a 3 on a scale of 1 to 5. A lower risk stretches from Texas through Arkansas and Alabama. Tomorrow, the threat for severe weather moves east to the Carolinas and Georgia. And we don't want to forget about the West Coast storm. Winter storm warnings are posted for portions of Washington State and Oregon. That includes Oregon's Mount Hood, where traffic was crawling last night as skiers and boarders came off the mountain during that heavy snow. Blizzard warnings are posted for much of the Cascade and Olympic Mountains from early tomorrow morning through Wednesday morning. Meantime, Lake Tahoe area finally saw its first big storm of the season. Abigail Verowick was there.
The first big storm of the season.
I stayed indoors because I knew it was coming, so I stayed in. I like looking up at the sky, and the sky said, oop, nope, stay in. And the wind was strong, too.
The winter blast leaving roads icy and slick.
Last night, I went home from work. It was pretty bad. My mom had to leave my house, and we live on a pretty steep hill on McCarran, and it's skidded her out pretty bad.
Reno police responded to over a dozen injury and nearly 30 non-injury crashes. Those numbers not including online reports. While the roads are clearing up now, this was the scene Saturday night.
So all these cars are pulled over on McCarran, stuck on a sheet of ice.
According to the National Weather Service, from October to January of last year, the Reno Tahoe Airport saw 17.5 inches of snow. In that same time frame this year, we've only seen 1.8 inches, most coming from Saturday's storm. With more systems on the way, some say they're getting what they need now for the week ahead.
But pretty much getting groceries and everything today, so we don't have to go out unnecessarily.
Residents agree that Saturday's snowfall is long overdue.
I like the snow. I love the snow. It's been pretty dry the first part of the winter, and I think we need the snow, and I look forward to more snow coming.
Thick fog in Bakersfield, California led to a 35-vehicle pileup on Saturday. The collisions left 2 people dead. 9 others were taken to the hospital for different levels of injuries. Mary Piranyan has the story.
When the fog hit, all I heard was screeching, like screech, screech, because like everyone was trying to brake.
Saturday was off to a tragic start for some families traveling on the I-5 South. Some didn't even get the chance to make it to their destination.
Our GPS notified us that there was an accident, and so we stopped, and as like 2 minutes after we stopped, the car behind us hit us, and that's when everything just happened real fast.
Officials on scene said 17 vehicles and 18 big rigs were involved, making it a total of 35 drivers caught in the pileup. Fog is believed to have been a major cause of the accidents.
All of the witnesses have fog visibility at approximately 100 feet at the time, so there was heavy fog at the time of the collision.
Everybody just started screaming, like, help and stuff like that, and there was like kids as well, like little kids crying.
CHP says 2 people died in the pileup, with 9 other people being taken to the hospital with varying levels of injuries. Kern County Fire also helped respond to the crash.
It was pretty chaotic when I first pulled up on scene. It was compressed natural gas saddle tanks on the side of some of the big rigs that were ruptured. So a lot of the bystanders that weren't injured were trying to help people, and they were in a plume of natural gas. So we had to deal with that first and get everybody evacuated from that area.
While parts of the country were dealing with snow this weekend, folks in Fort Lauderdale received quite the fright. A tornado touched down Saturday night, generating sparks and lighting up the sky in an apparent power surge. It was on the ground for a mile and a half. Now, there were no injuries, and damage, fortunately, was minimal. And coming up on the National Weather Desk, we'll find out what it's like working at New Hampshire's Mount Washington Observatory, and some tips to prevent dry skin and chapped lips during the cold winter months.
Well, good morning. I'm meteorologist Emily Santon. Let's take a look at the highs for today for the Northeast. The further north you head, the cooler it will be. We're looking at 35 for Portland, 40 degrees for Albany and Syracuse, but the further south you head, that's when you're going to start seeing temperatures in the 50s. 50 for New York, 54 for Atlantic City. We'll stay mostly clear for today. Some clouds to our west over in New York. We'll stay clear in New England and parts of the East Coast before we're expecting some rain and snow to begin to move in later on. I'm meteorologist Jasmine Lomax with a look at the mid-Atlantic region. We start the day with nice and dry weather thanks to high pressure. Many areas waking up to sunshine, and it looks great for the afternoon with plenty of sunshine and quiet conditions around the region. This is going to change on Tuesday as we get ready for the next weather maker, which could bring rain along with winter weather. Temperatures will rise to the 30s and 40s. Then heading into the night, temperatures fall to the 20s, 30s, and 40s.
I'm meteorologist Vitas Reed. Here's a look at your southeast forecast highs for the day. We're looking at 53 degrees in Nashville, 52 in Raleigh, Atlanta at 51 degrees, 60 Pensacola, 65 Jacksonville. Temperatures low 70s across parts of South Florida. Looks like we're seeing some sun and clouds to start the day off up in Raleigh, but it looks like a weather system's moving across the midsection of the country, as that's going to be some strong storms across the Mississippi Valley as we get into the afternoon. A few spotty showers over Florida, but along the I-95 corridor from Raleigh to Atlanta, looking at a little bit of sun and clouds, late thunderstorms.
You are watching the National Weather Desk.
Welcome back to the National Weather Desk. I'm meteorologist Jordan Evans. When it comes to snow, most people talk in feet and inches, but the weight of snow is also important. Let's turn to meteorologist John Gum to better understand the impacts of snow weight.
Let's say we have 12 inches of snow here. 12 inches of fluffy snow doesn't have that much weight to it relative to the wet snow. But let's talk fluffy snow. At a 15-to-1 snow-to-water ratio, we're talking about 4 pounds per square foot here of weight on top of a home. That home has a roof of about 1,500 square feet. That's over 6,000 pounds of weight on the roof of that home. That's about the weight of a full-size pickup truck. Now, when we talk about a normal snow, say a 10-to-1 snow-to-water ratio, it is heavier. That snow has about a 6.2 pound per square foot weight on top of that roof. And that's equivalent to about 1 full-size truck and 1 compact car together, over 9,000 pounds of weight on the roof. Still, though, the roof should be okay. Now, with 12 inches of wet snow, we're talking a 5-to-1 ratio, 5 inches of snow per 1 inch of water. It's even heavier. That's about a 12.5 pounds per square foot of weight on that roof, and that is equivalent to about 3 full-size pickup trucks, or over 18,000 pounds. But let's ramp this up to 2 feet, or 24 inches of snow. With the fluffy snow, again, at a 15-to-1 ratio, we're talking over 8 pounds per square foot on that roof. That's about equivalent to 2 full-size pickup trucks. On the typical snow, that 10-to-1 ratio, it's about 12.5 pounds per square foot of weight on top of that roof, and that's equivalent to about 3 full-size pickup trucks, or over 18,000, almost 19,000 pounds of weight on the roof of the house. But when we get up to a wet snow, a really wet snow with a 5-to-1 ratio, 5 inches of snow per 1 inch of water, all of that wet snow weighs a lot more, and that puts about 25 pounds per square foot of weight on the roof. That, my friends, equivalent to 6 full-size pickup trucks weighing over 37,000 pounds. What does that mean? Well, a typical roof should be able to take about 20 pounds per square foot of weight. When you get a really wet snow, 2 inches or 2 feet or more of that snow on top of a roof, that is when you could start having problems, structural problems with the roof itself. So that's why it's so important in these heavy snows, especially heavy wet snows, to begin to clear some of that snow off these roof structures.
Wildlife officials in Wisconsin say bird flu is why local birds are sick or even dying. While this issue is not new, experts say that colder weather would actually help the birds. Ben Krumholz has more.
The dead bird count at Duck Creek Quarry in Howard is up to 45.
It is slowing down a little bit. After speaking with the DNR and kind of their thoughts, sounds like it'll probably slow down once we get the colder temperatures.
The DNR says it is operating under the assumption any dead birds in the area likely had highly pathogenic avian influenza, or HPAI.
Yeah, we've gotten other reports from along the Fox River, the mouth of the Fox River. So there's been kind of little pockets around the Green Bay area.
The bird flu is spread by bodily fluids. DNR wildlife biologist Steve Burns says the risk is low for humans and there's been no indication of any human-to-human transmission. Still, people are advised to use caution when dealing with any sick or dead animals.
HPAI has been circulating in wild and domestic birds since like 2022. That virus is kind of just in waterfowl and poultry all the time. It's just when there's a specific mutation to the virus where it's more deadly or causes more disease in the birds than typical.
The village of Howard closed the quarry and the trails here 3 weeks ago, just after they found the first set of dead birds. To reopen, there's going to need to be 5 consecutive days without finding any sick or dead birds.
We're hoping that before we open it up, if we can find a way to do some sort of mass sanitation, we will. We'll figure that out once we go 5 consecutive days.
Until that happens, the village is encouraging people to stay away from the area.
Mount Washington is home to the strongest wind speed ever recorded by a person. It's known for having the worst weather in the world, too. A team of scientists lives at the observatory there studying those weather extremes. Emily Gracie spoke to Hayden Pearson about life as a weather observer on the New Hampshire mountain in the clouds.
We go out every hour, pretty much on the hour, and we take weather observations 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. So we are always up here. We are always going outside to observe what's going on here on Mount Washington.
How long have you been doing this?
My first day was back in June. However, the observatory has been here. This is our 90th year. So we've been up here since 1932, doing the same thing that we do today.
Is it ever dangerous when you go out to do the observations?
Yes, yeah. We have a very good safety record, but one of those things are we have to be very aware of what's going on in our surroundings. We do have what we call an A-frame. You may have seen pictures of it. And that is to protect us when we step out of the building from any flying debris, since there are weather towers and radio towers and other buildings up here on the summit. With shifting winds, we can get the big rime ice accumulations that we have breaking off. And so they will fly across the observation deck.
What is life like? Do you live there and you're all like roommates? How does it work?
Our work is a week on, week off shift. So we have 2 shifts up here that are a week at a time. We have a full bunk room, so we can have up to 17 people here at a time if need be. We also have a full living room and a full kitchen up here. We're fully stocked as far as food and supplies go for 3 to 6 months.
Can you tell us about Nimbus and kind of this long line of cats at the observatory?
I can actually do you one better because he has decided to come up into the office today. So he is up here with us today.
Hey, buddy!
He doesn't come up too often. He does like once people leave and we don't do tours anymore, he does tend to spend more time with us up here in the weather office. But he is a long line of cats that have been up here at the observatory. They started out primarily as a pest control option, but he also provides companionship for the observers up here, especially the night observer, because there are 2 day observers, but there's only 1 night observer that's on.
Now I want to share a bit of January weather folklore with you. To do that, we turn to Theron Zahn.
January can have some of the most exciting weather and also some of the most downright dull weather. But there is some interesting weather folklore about January. It has nothing to do with science, but old sayings say if there's a warm January, there won't be a very good harvest that year. Also, a warm January could mean a very hard freeze later closer to spring. One of the most interesting old sayings about January is that a green January means a full churchyard. Well, what does that mean? Basically, it's based on the fact that if January is warm, it won't kill off all the germs and cause more illnesses to spread. But again, no scientific evidence for any of that.
And time now for a short break, but first we soar over to Florida's Normandy Beach.
Happy Monday, everyone. I'm meteorologist Sarah Converse. We have multiple winter weather alerts for parts of the Midwest, including blizzard warnings, winter storm warnings, as we do have a strong low pressure system that's going to climb into the mid-Mississippi Valley, bringing in quite a bit of heavy snow, especially in places of Iowa and into the Quad Cities, where the areas could pick up 7 inches of snowfall. And that's going to eventually make its way through the rest of the Midwest with more snow and even rain into the Ohio River Valley.
Good Monday morning. I'm meteorologist Joe DiCarlo. Look at our forecast across the region, and we will be dealing with a potent storm system today. Some strong to severe storms possible from Houston to New Orleans this afternoon and this evening. Large-tailed damaging winds and some isolated tornadoes possible across the Gulf Coast. Heavy rain up towards Little Rock. On the backside of this storm, cold air, some snow for the Texas Panhandle into portions of northwestern Oklahoma. This pushes to the east as we head into your Tuesday. Then we're left with breezy conditions and much cooler throughout the region.
Good morning. I'm meteorologist Rebecca Stevenson. Here's what's happening across the West. Colder air coming down from Canada begins to filter in for the week ahead, and that's going to result in a series of Pacific storms slamming into that cold air for rain at times today in the Pacific Northwest, mountain snow, but then powerful wind causing things to change over to a blizzard warning for our Tuesday in the Cascades and the Olympic Mountains. That's the scene from here.
You are watching the National Weather Desk.
It's that time of year where dry skin and chapped lips start to become problems. But do you know why this happens? Meteorologist Christina Ernie explains.
Chapstick, chapstick, chapstick. Chapped lips this time of year? Awful. This is the time of the year that chapped lips are a pain, literally. This time of the year, we start to see those cold temperatures work in, which dries out our skin, which is why our skin and our lips get so chapped. Also, you might not be thinking of it, but since it's not so hot out, you might not be drinking as much water, so you're actually getting dehydrated, which is why your skin is getting so dry. And another reason, a lack of humidity. Once you start to crank up the heat in your house, that dries out our skin as well. So instead of just getting used to chapped lips, here's what you can do. Number one, make sure that even when you turn the heat on in your house, you're keeping the house humid, so maybe have a humidifier on when you're sleeping. Also, make sure that you're moisturizing your skin, especially your lips, especially before you go to bed as well, so they can heal. Finally, if you go outside and it's windy and cold, protect your lips.
If you want to see more content like this, check us out on social media. You can find us on all your favorite platforms. Just search the National Weather Desk. Thank you for joining us. I'm meteorologist Jordan Evans. Make it a great Monday, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.